Apple Music Essentials, Darius Rucker. Music's most influential artists and the stories behind their songs.
The musical story doesn't start with the first single or the first album. So I'd love to just back up a second and talk about what happened before the whole world met Hootie and the Blowfish.
Oh, goodness, man. We played frat parties and clubs for 7 years of really just getting it. I mean, the first year or so, we were in college and just a cover band with a different drummer, and then we got our drummer that we have now, and it was just the grind. It was every 6 weeks the same clubs. Played them over and over and over from New York down into Florida, and just trying to get on with somebody, getting on with Dave Matthews or getting on with Dylan Fence or getting on these bands that were doing the same thing we were doing, but in their area they were doing it well, and it was so much fun. Like, people always ask me if I miss when we were the biggest band in the world, and I always say no. I miss when it was us against the world, and we were playing those clubs, and it was just 5 of us showing up and doing what we do. I miss those days. One day we went on the David Letterman show, and our whole lives changed overnight.
And did y'all play Let Her Cry?
No, we played Hold My Hand.
Really?
Yeah, we played Hold My Hand the first time on Letterman, and our lives changed overnight. And that's not exaggeration. I mean, overnight.
Not a lot of people, big stars, cross over into this country world. I think people are just, they're skeptical of the authenticity.
You can have a hit, but you can't, not a lot of people have a career. And I was the black guy. And at that point, there was nobody here that looked like me.
What preconceptions did you have about entering this country world as a black man or as a rock star?
I'd heard some great stories about some radio guys not letting people in the building that were rock stars and stuff like that. I was a little I was not hesitant. I was just a little, I was going to do what we were going to do, but I was ready for anything. And I had some great moments. I had some moments to this day that were very important in my life. People always. You heard the stereotype, there's no black folks on country music. There's on the radio. There's not going to be anybody on the radio. And when I visited radio the first time, there was 3 guys who are now, great friends of mine, champions. And I don't think they were trying to be mean. They were being honest with me, who said to me that I don't think my audience will accept a black country singer. I mean, straight up, I love the song. I'm going to play that song. I'm going to play it. I'm going to add it. But I just don't think it's going to work. Oh. And I was like, okay. Thank you for playing it, and let's see, and they've all come up to me and said, I'm glad I was wrong. Glad I was wrong.
Does the Hootie fan follow you to country, or is it an entirely new audience?
It's both. There's a lot of people, but there's such a young crowd that still amazes me that just have no idea that I was at Hootie the Blowfish. I saw, again, and this still shocks me to see it. I think I saw this. I think I saw this 3 days. I think I saw this 3 days ago, where a guy said, I was today old when I found out that Darius Rucker was the lead singer of Hootie the Blowfish. And I'm like, really? And it's so, and that's funny that you say playing covers. I'll never forget. I'm on Twitter. I finish the show, and this guy comes on Twitter and he goes, "Man, I mean, the show was great, but how come he played so many Hootie covers? I didn't know he liked Hootie so much." I was like,
well, see, that's the thing. The thing about the Hootie album, that first especially, everyone knew it, even if they weren't a fan, probably. Yeah. And so you've got people that probably weren't real Hootie and the Blowfish fans that know the songs vaguely. That's nuts. That's funny.
It's funny. Yeah. It's been, ever since I was a kid, all I wanted to do is play music. And to get to do it and still get to do it at my age, the way I'm getting to do it, man, I'm having a good time.
So let's talk about this first album works massively, and you're settling into life as a country star, and it's feeling comfortable.
Yeah, I had so many friends in Nashville already, and coming here was great. I was playing the Opry all the time, and it started to feel like, all right, this is work, this is happening, especially with the second record. Came out and it was I think Comeback Song was the first single off the second record, and when that one really took off, it was really one of those things where and the touring was crazy. I think I toured with Rascal Flatts, and it was starting to feel like I'm here to stay.
So this is like your second Chris Stapleton cut? Maybe there was one on the first record.
Yes. Yeah, we had one and that one, man, I love that this story is so true of Chris, because I'm such a huge fan. I was, the moment I sat down and wrote with him and he started singing, I just went, "Are you kidding me?" This was years before.
Way before.
He became Chris Stapleton, and we go in and we write this song, and Chris does the guitar vocal, and it's
terrible.
It's probably a whole step higher than this. It's a whole step higher than I sing it, and he slays this guitar vocal to the point to where, like, I got probably 2 weeks before we start recording the record, and 2 weeks up to that, I'm listening to this song like 5 times a day in the car. I'm just putting it on. He sang it so good, he killed it. And so my producers were deciding on songs, me and Frank, and he just loved Comeback Song, and he was like, "Man, what about this Comeback Song? I just think it's great." And I was like, I'll never forget. I was like, "Nah, man, I'm not really feeling that one. I don't know why. I'm just not really feeling that one." And so we go the whole recording session, and he asked me every day about the Comeback Song, and I kept going, "No, man, no." And so it's the last little part of the last day of recording. After lunch, and he sits me down and he goes, "Man, seriously, why don't you want to do that?"
What's the deal?
He was like, "What? That song is a smash. Why don't you want to do that Comeback Song?" And I was like, "Man, have you heard the demo?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "I can't sing it like that, man." I was like, he kills that. He's like, I was like, "I could never sing it like that. It's so good."
So somewhere in here, after this second record, you joined the Grand Ole Opry.
It was funny because I told Doc when I came to town that one of my goals were to play the Opry as much as I could, because when Hootie, we always tried to play the Opry and we never got a shot to. Either, something happened where we just couldn't do that date, or, they were, at the beginning, they were kind of standoffish with us, and so it just never happened. And so I just started playing it a lot, and because I love it. It meant a lot to me. I used to listen to it on the radio when I was a kid, and that day when Brad Paisley asked me if I wanted to be a member, it's still one of the great days of my career. And you asked me when I knew it was working. I knew it was working with that song, but when I felt like I was finally a part of it was that day.
Oh
yeah. And then I talk about little Jimmy the night I was inducted. I get inducted, and it was amazing because all these Opry members showed up. Just for the, and I was shocked. It was like people I'd never met before, and they all showed up for the induction. And we're going to this little party we're throwing, and I'm walking, and somehow I get behind my buddies, and little Jimmy grabs me by the arm, and he turns me around, and he looked me right in the eye and said, "Don't you ever let them tell you you don't belong here." And I will never forget that, ever. I will never forget that.
That's amazing. Okay, so you start to make your third album, which is True Believers, and you do something I think really interesting. And of course, in retrospect, it's so obvious. But when you decide to cut Wagon Wheel,
oh goodness,
are people like, "Oh no, what are you thinking?"
Yeah.
Or no, was it okay?
It was funny because I had known the song forever, and I never thought about cutting it because I always thought it was a bluegrass song. I never even thought about cutting it. And my oldest daughter's having a high school pageant. I'm right in the middle of recording True Believers. And I have to leave Nashville to go to Baltimore to this pageant, this high school talent show. And so I get there, and you're sitting there and watching everything, and there's this faculty band. I think it's like 2 janitors and 4 teachers are playing.
Sounds about right.
They're playing like in between every 4 or 5 things. They're playing a song. And at one point, they start playing Wagon Wheel. And they were playing it with drums and everything, and I'd never heard it that way. And I'm sitting there. I'll never forget, I'm sitting there watching this going crazy. So they get to the first chorus, and I'm like, man, that would be a cool song. And so I text my producer, Frank Rogers, and I was like, "Man, you remember that song, Wagon Wheel?" And he texted me back, "Yeah, why?" I was like, "Man, I think we should cut that." He texted me back, "Oh man, a lot of people have cut that. I don't know if you really want to cut that." I was like, I don't know anybody to cut it. And he texted me back, he goes, I don't know if we want to cut that. And I'm never bossy. I'm the most coachable person on the planet. I let the people do what they're supposed to do in my life. That's how I think I made it. And I texted Frank, and I still can't believe I said this. I texted back, I'm not asking you, man. I'm telling you, we're cutting this Wagon Wheel song. And so we cut it.
You know, I'm curious, like, do you think Frank's reservation was like, it's a cover song, you're an artist, you do original, like,
Oh, absolutely.
was it that hang up of
Absolutely.
just a great cover, a really great cover can be huge.
Absolutely.
But for the most part, it feels, I don't know, tacky or,
Yeah,
well, I don't know.
absolutely.
We don't, I don't know. So that's so interesting.
And he, you know, the thing was, you know, man, who knew that song was going to do what it's done? You know, I mean, it's the 5th best-selling song in the history of country music.